Welcome to MEC's 70th annual meeting. And if you're here today, you're interested in workforce development. Have you heard that word a lot in the past few years? Yes. So we're going to talk about a part of workforce development. We've developed them, we've graduated them. Now, what's next? So you see your panelists here. We have Rusty Anderson, Melissa Robbins, Jonathan Woodward, Ruth Montana. You see Sandy Chris, and you see Tanya Neely. I know if you're looking at the program, you're saying that's not Tanya Neely. You are correct. That's her older brother. She had jury duty today, so she cannot make it. So what do? Brothers step in for their sister. So you're okay with that, Paul?
Absolutely.
And plus, I couldn't make another 10 card, and I just thought it looked prettier for all of them to be consistent. So you guys bear with us, and if it bothers you, just raise your hand, and he'll turn it around. Is that okay, Paul?
Absolutely.
Great, great. So good morning once again. We're going to talk about the next steps of workforce development. We've talked about, you know, we're educating these students. If you want to go into a trade, or if you want to go in the technical field, if you want to go into education. And now, what's next? How do we keep them here? How do we engage them and connect them with the business community? I was looking at the bios here, and we have collectively about 75 years of expertise on this stage here tonight in this field. So we might not have time for questions, but you can catch them because I bet you they can get an answer for you, or they can know someone that can. So I'm going to read their bios, and then we're going to get busy what we're here for today. So we have Rusty Anderson. Rusty Anderson has over 37 years of experience in higher education as a professional career consultant and trainer specializing in job search strategies. For 24 years, he has served the University of Southern Mississippi as the Director of Career Services. Anderson has taught courses as adjunct instructor in the departments of tourism management, psychology, and undergraduate studies, offering career management courses. Mr. Anderson received his master's degree in counseling psychology and undergraduate degree in social and rehabilitation services from the University of Southern Mississippi. Anderson has also presented during numerous conferences, professional associations, and corporate training seminars. Please welcome Mr. Anderson. Thank you. We have Melissa Robbins. And Melissa Robbins is the Human Resource Consultant at Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Melissa Robbins is a human resource consultant company. She received a Bachelor of Business Administration from the University of Mississippi. Melissa has earned her SHRM Certified Professional Certification and Professional in Human Resource Certification. Other credentials held by Melissa include the Certified Benefits Professionals, Fellow Life Management Institute, Designation and Association Customer Service Designation. With over 14 years of experience, she is responsible for benefits, recruiting employee relations, and many other human resource-related duties. Melissa is currently the president-elect for the Capital Area Human Resource Association and has previously served in many other roles in the past. She has also served on the board, including president and employer director for the Mississippi Association of Colleges and Employers. Melissa is involved with her church, Pine Lake, and serves as a committee member for Make-A-Wish of Mississippi Evening of Wishes. She is a member of the Junior League of Jackson. I'm sorry, Melissa, and she lives in Brandon with her husband Kevin and sons KJ and Cole. We can't forget that. Jonathan Woodard, you guys, this is my brother. Jonathan Woodard, Executive Vice President in Teaching. He's a Leadership Mississippi alum. As a small-town Mississippi boy, Jonathan Woodard began a career as a singer, guitarist, and stepped into the realm of music leadership during his high school years. Dr. Woodard currently serves as Executive Vice President of Teaching and Learning and Community Campus for Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Previously, he worked at Gulfport School District, First Baptist Church of Gulfport, Cross Point Church, MGCC's Jackson County campus, and MGCCC's Jefferson Davis campus. Outside of school, Dr. Woodard has a variety of interests. He serves as the chair of the board of directors for the Gulfport Chamber of Commerce, Board of Trustees for Goodwill of South Mississippi, graduate of Leadership Mississippi, member of the Gulf Coast Business Council, graduate of Leadership Gulf Coast, and graduate of GCBC Master's Class. He is also a recipient of the One Coast Top 10 Under 40 Award. His most valued possession is his faith and family. Dr. Woodard helped to plant Cross Point Church and lives in Biloxi with his wife, Elaine, and 3 children, Jude, Levi, and Eden. Ruth Montana currently serves as Director of Human Resources for Keesler Federal Credit Union. Montana has over 25 years of experience in all aspects of human resources, including employee relations, labor relations, recruitment, compensation, and benefits training. She has served the Gulf Coast Human Resource Association in the position of President-elect, President, past President, and currently serves as the Certification Director. She is a member of the National Society of Human Resource Management and is SHRM Certified Professional. Sandy Chris is the State Director for Adult Education and High School Equivalents at the Mississippi Community College Board. Sandy has over 25 years of experience in developing and customizing training for educational settings as well as our business and industry. In her current position, she leads adult education initiatives for Mississippi and provides oversight for the successful implementation of the U.S. Department of Education, Title II, Adult Education and Family Literacy Act funds, along with Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act of 2014 as a core partner. Sandy serves as Executive Committee for the National Council of State Directors of Adult Education and is a member of the National Adult Education Professional Development Consortium, state staff work group to help plan and develop national meetings and training for adult educators across the state of Mississippi. Sandy also serves as advisory board for the Data Recognition Corps TABE division and is a member of the Educational Testing Service Governing Board. Sandy resides in Brandon, Mississippi with her husband and son. Tanya Neely / Paul Summerall is an Associate Commissioner for Business and Economic Development in the Mississippi Institution for Higher Learning. His primary responsibility is to help form partnerships between Mississippi companies, economic developers, and state public universities in areas of research and business economic development. Paul has 14 years in this field of public education in the state of Mississippi. Prior to his work in the public sector, Paul worked in the private sector in banking, management, and was a small business owner. He also currently serves as Executive Director of the Mississippi University Research Authority. Can you guys hear? Rusty, we're going to start with you. We're talking about internships, and you've been 37 years at Southern Miss. Can you tell us, the importance, why it's important for students to participate in internships, and how does the businesses benefit from this?
Good morning. Thanks for letting me come here. I was a little worried when she said there was a combined 75 years because I had half of them. So I was glad that I heard some other years down the road here, but thank you for allowing me to come and speak to you today. And the reason that we encourage students and studenthood get internships, for the obvious reason, it gives them a way to apply what they're learning in the classroom into the workplace. But more importantly, they can start developing those soft skills that you employers are telling us that you want our graduates to have: the analytical thinking, the communication, problem solving, the ability to work with teams. So we're able to not only give them those opportunities and internships in your sites, but we can also get feedback about our students performing in your sites, about are we teaching them what we need to be teaching them. So it's sort of a cyclical process. And of course, from a career services director's perspective, we like them to get these experiences so they enhance their resumes. It makes them more marketable. They can learn the value of networking, and from a career services practitioner, also, it allows students to really find out what they like to do and not do. Surprisingly, there's a lot of graduates from colleges and universities that really don't know what they want to do. They just know they're getting a degree. And so getting out in your types of environments in your industries allows them to test the waters a little bit. And then additionally, I think for interns, it allows them to see that probably they're not going to do the same job for the rest of their life. We know that most students are going to do 7 to 10 jobs in their lifetime, so they can get into your companies and say, okay, this is my starting point, but where will I be in 5 years? Where can I be in 10 years if they stay with you that long, which they probably won't? And where can I be in 20 or 25 years? So it's a lot of benefits for exposing students to your industry. About 85% of students at Southern Miss work as they go to school, but those jobs are not really teaching them the professional skills they need. So getting them internships where they can meet with individuals such as yourself and get some mentoring and get some coaching and get some help is very, very valuable to them, so that when they start entering the workforce, they have more knowledge. I think the final thing I would say is sort of selfishly, internship is a good pathway into a full-time job. We find through the National Association of Colleges and Employers, for example, that about 59% of internships get offers. And about 75% of those internships accept offers, which is a conversion rate of about 46%. So if you want to look at how to boost your hiring process and your success, then I would really encourage you, if you don't have an internship, to consider an internship. We have PepsiCo International that recruits, and their conversion rate is 86%. So when they place a student in an internship, there's a good chance that they're going to keep that internship.
Thank you, Rusty. So you said selfishly, you use that as a recruiting tool, and I see that Melissa at Southern Farm Bureau, you guys have a long relationship with Southern Farm Bureau, so I guess selfishly you use that as a recruiting tool too to get employees on your job. So tell us about that relationship, and also talk to me about what skills they learn being an intern at Southern Farm Bureau.
Sure. Thank you for having me today. I have not been at our company for as long as Rusty has, but I've been there for almost 15 years this year, and ever since I've been there, I've known Rusty. So we are very thankful for the partnership that we have with Southern Miss, and it has been a great recruiting tool. I encourage all of you who are in the business field to have a relationship with all the schools in Mississippi. They have a great career services, and that is just a huge driver for us in recruiting. We can call on them and tell them we have a actuary position open and send us your best math students, and they do, and most of the time we hire them. So it's become a great partnership. So I encourage you, get with career services in all the different colleges, and if you have graduating high schoolers, encourage them from the get-go to get in career services, because it is a huge benefit for students to have access to that. So, but for our internship, we started really small. We started in 2007 with a more formal internship. We had started out with 3, and now we have grown to where we have 12 summer internships each year. So we're very thankful for the growth and the opportunities that we have there. Almost every year we hire at least 1 out of those. So when it was 3, 1 was really good odds. Now we are still hiring about 1 or 2, and all of those but 1, we have hired 12, and all but 1 still actually work for us. So that's huge for us. We have real low turnover, and I think our odds are a little better than most of our employees probably don't have 7 to 10 jobs, but our employees stay for a really long time. So for us, the advantage of internships is to find the right match. Recruiting is a two-way street. It's not one way. A lot of times people think the company has all the say-so, but we don't want it to be that way. We want the students to be able to come in, see what we do. Insurance, a lot of students don't really know a lot about insurance unless they have family members who have been in it. So it's a great way for them to come in and see all the different departments and opportunities that we have, and then also see if they fit in with our company culture. Cubicle type setting is not for everybody, and that's okay. We want them to have the opportunity to come in and see it and then decide. So it's been a really great, a very valuable benefit for us to have the internship. So I would encourage everyone to start one if you don't have one.
Thank you. So, Jonathan, we're talking about internships. You hear the word internship and you hear the word apprenticeship, and a lot of people say, what is the difference? What's the difference between the two? Can you talk to me about that and tell the audience what's the difference between an internship and apprenticeship, and tell us what do the students gain from these apprenticeships, and what do you tell them? We looked at your bio, and you're always in the church. So what do you tell them to encourage them to participate and to motivate them? This is a great thing for them and the company that they're going to work for.
Sure. Now, that's not a trick question on defining apprenticeship, is it?
Maybe.
Let me say this. The reason I ask that is because we need to be real careful in how we define apprenticeship and internship. I don't want to be fanatical about the definition, because different sources of money can fund initiatives depending on what you call it. All right, so, back in the day, I taught elementary school, and this did not happen, but I'm just going to give you an example of the kind of thing that could happen, all right? You may have a student that had a learning disability, and the next year they were given a label of they were autistic. And you ask, now, what is the difference? Now, both of those things were true, but why this year would we label them learning disabled and the next year autistic? Because the funding stream changed, and it was a higher fund for one versus the other. And I think if you were to lobby and ask people around the state, how do you define apprenticeship, a lot of people would say apprenticeship is a very broad category because, primarily, to be honest with you, it's because of the funding stream. And at the end of the day, it's about how can we best train the workforce of Mississippi? How can we best do that in the cheapest way, in an attractive way for business, at an efficient way from an educational standpoint? However, I know you did ask me to define it, so I'll define it a little bit, all right? So if Woody Middleton was in the room, is Woody in the room? I don't know if he is. He is the head of the local state rep for Department of Labor over apprenticeship. And he would tell you one of the main differences is that an apprentice is an employer-driven process, and an apprentice is a full-time, long-term, that is the federal definition through the Department of Labor. So let me give you an example. We heard this awesome statistic that 59% of interns are going to get a job offer, which is phenomenal. Guys, that's incredible. I would tell you in the definition I just gave, 100% of apprentices have already a job before they are trained. Because in a traditional sense, an apprentice is somebody that already is hired by a company. The company makes the decision to hire. Huntington Ingalls is a great example of apprenticeship in the state. We've had a partnership with Huntington Ingalls doing apprenticeship for over 60 years. And those are employees that are already hired into their apprenticeship program, and then we provide the training. Whereas internship may be full-time, may be part-time, but it's not a guarantee over a long time. They may not get benefits. There's paid internship. There's unpaid internship, all of which have guidelines. But if you just kind of break it down to its basic element, it's about you're already hired by a company, full-time, with benefits and everything. That's an apprentice. Almost everything else we could put over here in the internship basket. So in terms of recruiting students and what are the benefits for an apprentice, that's easy. You're going to get a salary, you're going to get benefits, and you're going to get training that is customized to your skill set while you're also getting RTI, which is in the classroom training, and it's going to make sense. Real-time learning with your OJT or OJL, as you're used to that term. Whereas an internship, usually you get some training, and then you go become an intern, and you're learning how to employ that training in the business setting. So there are some nuance of difference between the two, but at the end of the day, what we would categorize as apprenticeship or internship, right now, to some degree, depends on where our source of funding comes from and what was allowable within that source of funding.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm going to take a quick break and tell you, if you're on social media, talk about what you're learning here. Like I said, this is over 75 years of experience here at this table. So for those that are not in this room, share with them what you're learning here today and tell them that you're in Mississippi Economic Council annual meeting, 70th annual meeting. So we talked about apprenticeships. We talked about internships. Ruth, you're there on the Gulf Coast in Keesler, and you guys customize an internship to fit you. Can you tell me about that and tell me how you work with Gulf Coast in doing that and the advantages of you hiring these at Keesler?
Yes, absolutely. Good morning. Yes, our apprenticeship program is unique in that we are the first credit union in the state of Mississippi to have an apprenticeship program. And we are very excited for our partnership with Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Have you ever planned a vacation to a destination that you've never been to before? That's what it's like, planning an apprenticeship program. You get there and there's some things that you didn't plan for, like maybe you need a bigger budget. Everybody wants to go on vacation with you, or maybe you're just trying to cram too much in a short period of time. But at the end of the day, it becomes a very great roadmap for what you want to improve for your next trip. So in designing our program, we were not looking for an earth-shattering, out-of-the-box program. We just wanted a program where we could develop our talent and ultimately serve our members better. And so we did explore the number of different modelship programs that Mississippi Gulf Coast had to offer before we committed to the bank branch manager apprenticeship program, which is the program that we have in place today. We also considered the length of the program because apprenticeship programs can last anywhere between 1 and 4 years, and our model is a 2-year model. It is 4,288 hours. It's a combination of on-the-job learning as well as about 325 hours of coursework. We took our job description as a branch manager and we did a crosswalk. We worked with Mississippi Gulf Coast to do a crosswalk and compared the competencies that were necessary for the position against the courses that were offered at the college. And we came up with 7 courses that the apprentices are taking. And then once we had that right model in place, we had to gain buy-in, right? What's the sense in having a program if it's not going to be, if you're not going to have the participation that you need to keep it alive? And it was during those discussions that we determined that we really need an online platform because we have so many branches throughout the state and even into other states that we decided we needed an online platform. And so we worked with Mississippi Gulf Coast, and we are the first employer to be able to take online classes, workforce classes, through an online platform. We established the criteria and then began the selection process. We also created an internal website to keep our employees learning at Keesler. In the website, we posted the position. We also shared, how do you apply for the apprenticeship program. Once the program was launched, we have mentors that we identified, we have mentors that are working with the apprentices. And so we created an internal email account for ongoing discussions and program feedback. Each apprentice is given a logbook to journal their daily task. And this was very helpful to us to actually create the job process and to create some standard operating procedures. Each of the apprentices, while they are not actually earning a degree, they are earning college credits, and at the end of the program, they will have 21 college credits that can be used if they decide to pursue a higher education. And of course, the last element of the design was what's in it for me, right? And so there is a rewards for skills gained in the apprenticeship program. It is actually a standard requirement of the Department of Labor, but the employer decides on what that looks like. And so I believe that the second half of your question is what are the advantages of hiring an apprentice? Well, number one, you have a formalized training that is created out of that. You are also able to ensure that the apprentices that you have in the program, you're able to create some standard operating procedures because too often when you have multiple locations, you might hear that, well, we don't do it at this location. So that's one advantage is that you are able to mold the apprentice into doing things for the desired outcomes that you're looking for. The apprentices, the program is 100% paid for. So the apprentice gets to get the education that they're looking for. They get to earn college credits, and then of course they walk away debt-free. For us, we believe that the program is building loyalty. It's a retention tool, and but most importantly, we're here for our members, and so hiring an apprentice allows us to develop our talent and ultimately deliver a better member experience for our members.
Thank you, Ruth. So before we go to Paul and Sandy, we're going to circle back to Jonathan and Rusty, if it's okay, and tell us, you talked about recruitment, you talked about placement, and we know your partnership with Keesler and Southern Farm Bureau. Tell me what other industries and companies you work with, and is there a need? We have business leaders in the room. Is there a need from companies here that you're looking for placement and recruitment?
Sure. Well, once again, we don't want to be fanatical about apprentice, right? I think anybody could have an apprentice program, to be honest with you. Melissa, I'd love to talk to you about insurance right after this. But in all seriousness, we right now are talking to a variety of companies because for many, many years, I think when people hear the word apprentice, a few things come to your mind. One is the German apprenticeship model, right? That's one of the first things that come to your mind. Another thing that comes to your mind is the traditional craft skills. But we're seeing a very successful program with Keesler Federal Credit Union in the banking world. We are talking with the hospitality industry along the coast. Another thing that comes along in your mind when you say apprentice is union, but those two things are wildly different. Just because you have an apprentice program does not mean it has to be unionized. So we just signed a partnership with the University of Southern Mississippi where we're taking students, and it's really going to be a teacher apprenticeship program to train the future teachers, and maybe this is a way we can address the teacher shortage in the state of Mississippi. So if you are in the room, it's really a mindset switch. Traditionally, we think people go off and get a 2-year degree and then they come work for me, or they get a 4-year degree and they come and work for me. Apprenticeship flips that on its head. In its truest sense, apprenticeship is you're hiring somebody from the outset that you intend from day one to get both training and on-the-job learning at the same time. So there really is not boundaries on what can be an apprenticeship. It's really a matter of your imagination and your willingness to have a workforce that is by design growing from within rather than hiring folks that have already been trained.
Thank you. Thanks,
Well,
Jonathan.
I'll add a little bit to that. About 50% of our programs at Southern Miss require students to do internship prior to graduation. So we have about 50% of the programs that are we're looking to develop more internships for. We have developed a Center for Pathway Experiences on our campus. It's part of our 10-year initiative with a quality enhancement plan where we have a person designated to work with employers to do outreach to connect students with opportunities in internships. And we're seeing over the I think 4 to 5 years, an increased need for internships in the areas of logistics and transportation, supply chain management. Accountants, they've been doing this a long time. They saw years and years ago, hey, let's recruit them as juniors to seniors and keep them after they graduate. And other people are beginning to follow those majors. We have distribution facilities like CED and Walmart Distribution that's now actively seeking internships. Sanderson Farms, I love the title of their internship program. It's called the Super Chicken Roadshow. If you ever go to that, you get this really cool T-shirt with this funny-looking chicken on the back. But they take 29 to 30 internships every summer, and they pay the students well, and they give them an idea about what a processing company, one of the largest in the country, is all about, and the different management careers there. And it helps our students think differently about organizations when they get to experience it, and also helps them think about, where their path needs to go. So we're always looking for additional internships, but we see an increase in those logistics and transportation. We've seen a little bit more federal government hiring of internships, where at one time they were major employers of co-op students, and that went away in the 80s for those that can remember that far back. And we see a lot of the tourism seeking our internships. Much like the apprenticeship program, because there's a need in those industries to hire a lot of talent. And a lot of companies, from what I'm hearing now, one of the reasons they're trying to develop internship program is that they're looking at their leadership, and they're seeing their leadership is getting more and more seasoned. That's a nice term to use, isn't it? and they don't have a succession plan in place, and they're trying to bring in people as interns and apprentice to say, hey, let's grow our folks from within. Let's go ahead and start identifying the talent we want. Let's give them the training that we need them to have, not only in the academy, but also in our business. And hopefully that will retain people for a longer period of time and give students a lot of ability to move up.
Thanks, Rusty. So we've talked to Rusty. Rusty, let's move down here to Paul and tell us about the role that IHL is playing to help universities kind of fill that gap and coordinate internships programs and, and partnering with the business community.
Thanks, Kathy. Good morning. Before I do that, I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that while IHL certainly feels that we have a role to play in expanding and growing student internship opportunities in Mississippi, you heard Rusty talk about there are currently many success stories that he shared on the University of Southern Mississippi campus, and across all 8 campuses in our system, there are other similar success stories to be told. So there is currently really good work being done in the area of student internships within our 4-year public universities. The primary ways that IHL sees that we can help grow this opportunity is really to help connect and partner Mississippi companies with our universities, specifically our career services centers. That's a role that we can play representing the entire system to help grow and expand. The second thing, to help grow and expand in that if a company, you may be sitting out there thinking, I don't have a student internship program, I would love to know more about starting one. Well, IHL wants to serve as a resource to help you do that. We have information at our disposal that we can share with you to help you learn about starting a new program, or maybe you have a program and you want to grow it or expand it, maybe to tweak a few things within the program. So that's the second thing that we see ourselves being able to offer you as business owners and managers. And the third is something that we've been talking with MEC leadership about for a while now, and that is really helping to just promote the concept of student internships with Mississippi companies, to help provide some education about the value of student internships. You've heard a lot of that this morning from some of the experts on the panel. So those are our 3 primary areas that we think in which IHL can help, is to really help connect and partner Mississippi companies to our career services centers, and to help grow and expand programs that you may want to start or haven't yet or have started and need to be tweaked. And the other is just to help educate and really promote the concept with Mississippi companies to help grow the initiative.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul. Sandy, we're talking about the Community College Board and what they're doing with the Smart Start Pathway model. And they're teaching soft skills, and they're helping students have that toolbox when they're ready to go into this job with soft skills. Can you tell us about that? Can you tell us about this Smart Start Pathway program?
I can tell you about Smart Start. I'm glad to be here to share this. The Smart Start program was implemented as a part of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And Mississippi State's our plan for the state includes research from you. What did you need from employers to be successful in your business and industry? So we took that information and we designed a course, and the course is being offered to all of our students in adult education across the state that at every community college through the Department of Corrections. But what this course is designed to do is to make our students employable. We know that in order for you to be successful, you need an educated workforce, but you also need employees with work ethic. So we have taken a course and designed, it's a 45-hour course, and it's a behavioral type course, so it takes a while to practice these skills. You have to show up every day for class. You must stay the entire day for class. So does that sound familiar a little bit? So we're training our students to be successful employees. The Smart Start course includes multiple certifications and credentials. One of those is the ACT, National Career Readiness Certificate. The National Career Readiness Certificate will let you know as a company that your employee or potential employee, this applicant is work ready. We also have the Smart Start credential, which we created as a part of our state plan. And where we need assistance and help from you is to recognize that when these folks are applying to your company that, oh, I know what this is. This ACT National Career Readiness Certificate means something. This Smart Start credential means something. The students are putting a lot of time and effort in the program. And so we focus on the basic skills, the reading and the language, and the math, but we're also focused on, like I said, the soft skills, communication skills. We provide very explicit instruction, and I think that's crucial for the students that we serve, to the point of the things of what is my role as an employee? What is my role and what is the role of my supervisor? And how do I communicate and connect in a workplace that makes me successful and continues to keep me employed? We focus on conflict resolution. We also have financial literacy pieces in our curriculum because that is a very important part of our employees' success. They need to know how to handle their money. They need to know how to open a bank account. What are interest rates? Why do I not need to get that title loan? How can I be? Basically, we're looking at a holistic approach to serving our students. But the goal is to make them employable. Again, we are very excited about this class. It has expanded tremendously since we started. We offer this now for business and industry, the necessary skills section of our course, the communication skills, the employability skills, but we also go further with our students in defining what employees are looking for as far as what jobs are out there. We're across the state, so we focus on training in those specific sectors of our state. So our students on the Gulf Coast we have a lot of students in the welding program because they're going right into working with Ingalls. The goal of our program, adult education, is to take them from where they are, where they're basic skills deficient now, put them on a pathway of success that includes at the end employability. Because at the end of the day, it is about a family sustaining wage and being able to support your family in the economic development of our state. So I think there are a lot of opportunities out there for you to find good employees, and that's how we want to help you to partner to do that.
Thank you. So, Paul, we're going to close, but I want Paul to talk about, for these businesses out there, what do they need to do in order to connect with these internship programs and the students? How can they connect? If they want to start an internship program, if they're interested in doing it at their companies, at their jobs, what do they need to do? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So if you're interested in starting a student internship program and you need resources, call IHL. The Office of Business and Economic Development, we want to be a resource to you. We have resources available to us to help you do just that. I think there are really two good approaches that a business could take if they want to start a student internship program or get access to student interns. One would be the direct approach, contact a university, maybe the Career Services Center. Maybe you've got an existing relationship with a university. You could certainly do that, make that direct contact. Maybe there's a university with a specific degree program and you're looking for students in a certain area, so that makes sense that you would contact them directly. But we want to kind of help take the guesswork out of it for you and make it as easy as we possibly can. And that if you don't know what to do, you don't know who to call, you don't know where to start, contact IHL and let us help you figure that out. Let us help make those connections for you on any of our 8 campuses and get you to a single point of contact who can be of assistance to you. Again, whether you're starting a program or you're trying to grow a program.
Thank you, Paul. So we're closing, but I want to give the panelists, if it's something, just closing remarks, something quick that you want to share that you didn't have the opportunity to share with questions or with the comments. Is there something you want to say before we close out and dismiss for lunch? There between you and the lunch?
What I would encourage you to do is, as you think about your internship programs, you want to start this about 2 years out if you don't have one. And you want to design your internship very strategically to make these very meaningful learning experiences for the students. I think traditionally internships, hey, let's hire somebody to run the copiers and, shred materials. And today's student, they want meaningful experiences. They want to work on projects. They want to do research for you. They want to be connected with the leaders of your organization and have a chance to work with your leaders. So start way out there and envision what that internship needs to look like, and then think about who's going to do the internship supervision. Don't just hand it down to somebody that doesn't look like they have anything else to do. They won't put the interest and energy into it. And once you have an internship and they come back to our campus, they're either your best ambassador or your worst ambassadors. And they talk to each other and peer-to-peer. So you want to have a meaningful experience. You want to have feedback for the intern while they're in your place of business. Also, you want to get feedback from them. What are we doing well? What do we need to improve on? Typically, the research shows us that you should start seeking internships at least 8 months before you plan to start one. And so those cycles would go around. And, have a presence on our campus. Don't just post something and think if we post it, they'll come. Because you want to have a little presence, info tables, connect with us, we'll connect you with faculty, try to get you classroom presence where you can talk about your opportunities in companies, because students are attracted to people they know, not so much for people they don't know. And so we want to have that presence and that familiarity. And then the last thing, and again, I'm going to cite some NACE data here. I did a little research before I came in. They said that 50% of internships are filled through connections through career services offices, and 40%, I'm sorry, and 50% through open applications, and only 9.5% through direct faculty contacts. And so I think many of the historical ways to connect with students was just to go to faculty, and that doesn't seem to be the trend anymore, particularly for internships. So be sure to post with career services and then open postings and get connected.
Thank you, Rusty.
Kathy, my only comment would be, as you all know, there's a lot of momentum at the federal level from our current president toward apprenticeship, which is one of the reasons everybody's talking about apprenticeship. Specifically, if we could find a way to offset trainee wages during their initial training period, you would see apprenticeship in the state of Mississippi skyrocket, I bet. So that specific piece of the puzzle is an important one for our state to really move apprenticeship in its truest sense to the next level, is offsetting trainee wages during that initial period of training. And Ruth would be saying amen right now if we were in a church, but she's saying it under her breath over here. So.
I wanted just to add to what Rusty said. If you don't have a program and you're looking to put one together, don't just have an internship just to have an internship. Be sure that you have really thought through it and actually have work for them to do. The worst thing you can do is give a college student a lot of free time or a lot of downtime, and they're coming in and they want to work. That's been the biggest feedback that we have gotten. Is I don't want to just sit and watch someone, answer phone calls or type on the computer. I want to be a part of it. And what we have found is in our really hard to fill jobs, that's where we've really been able to capitalize the most. Programming, actuary, investments, accounting. In our industry, it takes a really long time to train employees, so we very rarely do we hire someone with just a lot of experience. We usually hire these college graduates and train them, and so that, a year is kind of typical to be fully trained in a job, and that's a lot of time and a lot of money to spend on someone who might just leave. So having the internship program, it kind of gives them the look at it, and then it's kind of up to them to come back to us after they graduate to make sure it's a good match. So if you're looking to start one, I would kind of challenge you with maybe trying to start with some of those harder to fill jobs and kind of build it from there.
And I don't want to hold us up for lunch. I know how important that is. But I want to say that there are over 300,000 people in the state of Mississippi without a high school diploma. We serve about 10,000 people, or a little over 10,000 people a year in our program. But we have a huge disconnect with getting our students into our program. So we started a new initiative. It's called Skill Up Mississippi. And so if you know of anybody who doesn't have a high school diploma or needs employability skills, please refer them to any of our programs. Our community colleges provide some of the best services in the country, right here in the state of Mississippi. So make those connections. Our email address is skillup@mccb.edu, and we would love to talk with you at how we can help you sustain your workforce. Thank you.
So really quick, Kathy, before we go, I think there's one point that I would like to make, and Rusty shared some statistics on the number of student interns who basically the internship results in permanent employment for that student with a particular company. It only makes sense that if we can expand student internships in Mississippi, expand the footprint, the opportunities, that's a part of a workforce development initiative in Mississippi, or should be a part of it. So I would encourage you to think along those lines. We've talked about how the student benefits, how the company can benefit, the state benefits. As you know, it keeps more of our Mississippi graduates in Mississippi working. If they've had an opportunity to test drive a company's had an opportunity to test drive them, and they realize that there's a really good relationship there to be had on a permanent basis. So I think we just need to keep in mind that there is a workforce development component to this, and really think of it in those terms.
Thank you, Paul. Can we please give our panelists a round of applause? A few housekeeping notes. The doors will open at 11:30 for the lunchroom downstairs. I was just told that the escalator and the far end is out, so please use this one right here as you walk out the door. We'll see you at lunch. For those that did not do a formal sponsorship, open seating is black tablecloths in the lunchroom. You're in for a great event, 70 years. Thank you very much.